Welcome to the Tea Time Podcast, where it's all about taking a few healthy minutes each day just for you, with your host, Sharissa Bradley.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode for the Tea Time Podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited that you are here. We are continuing our Journey Back to Health series, and we are on Chapter 10, which is all about gut health. And I teased this a little bit last week, but gut health really is the most important place to start when it comes to a healing journey. When we cannot properly absorb nutrients from the digestive system, or when there's inflammation in the digestive system, or when there's blockages or pain or gas or bloating, we know that things like your immune system, your serotonin levels, your health, and your energy are all going to be affected. Well, why? The reason is that inside of our digestive system are all of these little systems and microorganisms working together to extract the nutrients from our food. We're eating whatever the meal is, and our digestive system is breaking all those pieces down, and then that's where everything in the body starts to get to work. We are pulling out the nutrients and we're putting them where they need to go and supporting the organ systems that need to be supported. But when there's big issues in the gut, like for myself, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. So there was inflammation, holes in my digestive system, an autoimmune attack happening in my intestines. That made it so that I was not able to absorb any of the nutrients. What that ended up looking like for me was an immense lack of energy and really intense brain fog. I wasn't optimally working or optimally thinking about anything. I could look directly at my children in their eyes, knowing that I had given them their names and not remember their names. And the reason for this was that the gut inflammation was causing all of these domino effects throughout the body. When you are dealing with all sorts of issues that come up, maybe it's inflammation, maybe it's pain, it does typically point back to what exactly is going on in the digestive system, what is happening in the gut. And what I mean when I say gut is stomach, gallbladder, liver, esophagus, all of the small and large intestines and colon. All of these pieces work together to make sure that we're getting all of the nutrients that we need. It's like an extraction system, and they're letting go of the waste. Well, if the extraction system isn't working properly, all of the food and the nutrients that we're taking in then becomes waste. And not only that, when the digestive system isn't properly doing what it's supposed to do to get the waste out, it creates so much additional pain from being bloated, from having too much gas in the intestinal tract. There isn't anywhere for it to go because the body isn't processing properly. So when we're looking at healing and we're looking at getting things back on track, I highly, highly recommend starting with the gut. Start with digestion. Start with how is it going into the body and is it breaking down properly and where is there pain? Because throughout this system, there are tons of different organs that can be supported properly. Like for instance, if you're not properly digesting the food, it could be that there isn't enough stomach acid or there isn't enough digestive enzymes coming from the pancreas, or there isn't enough bile coming from the gallbladder. So there's a lot of elements at play here. And I'd love to direct your attention back to the last week's episode and chapter 9, where we really dove into each one of these organ systems and how they all work together in unison to give us optimal health. Well, when we're trying to heal the digestive system, there's a lot of steps that actually have to be taken. First thing you need to do is find where the problem is. Where does there seem to be issues or pain or challenges? If it maybe is widespread inflammation, maybe one direction to go would be to reduce the inflammatory in the diet. Things like dairy or hard to digest grains. And by removing these things for a short while, we can give the digestive system a chance to heal and repair itself, during that process, you may even add things in that are restorative and healing, things like probiotics or prebiotics, or things that coat the system like aloe vera. There is going to be a specific protocol depending on what it is that you're looking to heal. But for myself, when it came to autoimmune disease and widespread inflammation, I learned through the research that we need to focus on the gut. Over 60% of the serotonin in our body is made in the gut. If we're dealing with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, things of that nature, it is also important to look at the gut health as well. Because if the food isn't being digested properly, the hormones aren't being regulated properly, the mood is also going to be affected. So if you're dealing with things that are mental health related, I encourage you to check out also what is going on in your gut. Because if there is any sort of dysbiosis, any sort of improper bacteria taking a hold on the digestive system, or an imbalance of what is good and what is bad, something maybe we call SIBO or C. diff, where there's an increase of bacteria that cause problems in the digestive system. There are lots of tools out there to help bring balance and homeostasis back to the gut. And when we start there, when we start by healing the digestive system, we actually have this domino effect that takes over all of these other organ systems because they're getting the nutrients that they need and they're getting the support that they need. And they no longer need to be siphoning or pooling from your energy. So I definitely feel like the gut is one of the most important places to start when we're on a healing journey. And next week, we're going to talk all about elimination diets. And then we're going to start talking about detox and the process of detox and what that looks like. But all of these plans and all of these goals, you'll see that the common factor is they start with gut health. Even if the problem seems to be like lungs or thyroid or brain fog, they're actually showing, research is showing that the gut health can be actually very predictive of whether or not you're doing well or not. So we start there and we look at how is digestion going. And the action steps for this week are to simply pay attention to how you feel after meals. Don't rush out and make any big changes. We've talked about how change takes several habits over time to be able to put into motion real habitual change. So for the challenges for this chapter, it isn't asking you to make any changes yet. What we're asking at this point is to say, what is going on? And if you could keep a little food diary or a little journal and see if anything causes any more upset or any times of day that you're noticing things, that's also very important. If something is happening around the same time every day, that can also pinpoint and direct you to what the problem is and how to help yourself. So next week, we're going to talk about elimination diets. And during this time, if you can kind of mentally take note or physically take note, maybe in your notes app, just after every meal, how you're feeling. Note if any changes during the week are happening at the same time. For instance, every day at 3 o'clock, I get this headache. Every day at 4 o'clock, I feel exhausted. Every day at 9 a.m., I have this stomach ache. Those types of things are things to write down, absolutely, and take notice of. The last suggestion, if you feel like you can, is to keep a food diary. In the appendix of this book or sharissabradley.com/extras, you can download the workbook and it has a place for you to keep a food diary for a week, and that's writing down what you eat and how it makes you feel. This is just for your own personal self, to give yourself a baseline diagnosis of where am I at right now? How am I feeling right now? And then that way, when you start to hear things like what the plan is or what types of elimination diets there are, you'll be more informed and better capable of making those types of decisions for yourself to keep going on your healing journey. I hope I've encouraged you today to just pinpoint where it is that you want to start. And if you are healing and you are struggling, then I just want to give you a little bit of grace and just recognize that you're doing such a great job. You keep showing up, you're showing up for yourself. And I am grateful for you being here along on my journey as well. I'll see you all next week for another episode where we talk all about elimination diets. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you for spending your tea time with us. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.